Well, quietly over the weekend, Dick Cheney started working to block legislation on the detainee situation. He's lobbying the Republican senators that would regulate detention, that would regulate the treatment, that would regulate trials of detainees held by the American military, to vote not to do that. He doesn't want any regulations about the detention, treatment, and trials of detainees. This is insane. But here's the story, okay? The Pentagon was supposed to comply with a court order. And the court order was handed down a while ago, and it said that the Abu Ghraib photos, you've only seen a small sliver of them, and that there are more, and that there are videotapes. And a justice, I guess I got to find out who he was, actually said you have to release these videotapes, and you have to release these pictures. Now, these pictures and these videotapes were given to us by the whistleblower who initially gave us the first round of photos from Abu Ghraib, a specialist, low-ranking Army guy, who just couldn't believe what he was seeing. And that's how we got the first round. And so he had to go to court because the Secretary of Defense has been fighting him and doesn't want these subsequent photos and videos released. Well, a long time ago, about a year ago, this all came to light, and Seymour Hersh from the New Yorker wrote an article saying that, and spoke on television about it, that he had seen these, a video, and that it was rape of a young boy, and that the blood-curdling screams were the most upsetting part. And today, the Pentagon is blocking the release of the images and the videotapes. And Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld told Congress last week about this issue, that after viewing a large cache of these unreleased images, quote, I looked at them last night and they're hard to believe. They show acts that can only be described as blatantly sadistic, cruel, and inhumane. And a Republican senator suggested the same day that they contain scenes of rape and murder. And Rumsfeld then said, well, if these are released to the public, obviously it's going to make matters worse. So yesterday, the news came out, or actually last week, the news came out that the lawyers for the Pentagon had refused to cooperate with a federal judge's order to release these unseen photos and videos from Abu Ghraib. There are thousands of pictures that apparently were turned over by a whistleblower, Specialist Joe M. Darby, and that just the ones that we have seen are just a few of what we have seen. Judge Alan Hellerstein is the guy that ruled that they have to come out. And, of course, the Pentagon lawyers are arguing, no, you can't release these pictures. It'll just make things worse. But I know what they show. There have been witness statements and Seymour Hersh's statements to indicate to me what's on there. And I went back and pulled out the story from the Sunday Herald on, August 1st, 2004, last summer, when it all came out that there were more pictures and videos. And the Sunday Herald did an investigation, and they found more than 100 children in jails, like Abu Ghraib, and that witnesses were telling the reporters from the Sunday Herald that some of them were as young as 10 years old, and that, yes, they were being subjected to rape and torture and being murdered. I'll just read you a little bit of it because it's just so sickening. It was early October that Qasim Mehdi Hilas said he witnessed the rape of a boy prisoner, aged 15, in the notorious Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. Quote, the kid was hurting very, very bad. They covered all the doors with sheets, he said in a statement given to investigators probing prisoner abuse in Abu Ghraib. Then, when I heard the screaming, I climbed the door. I saw the soldier's name deleted, who was wearing a military uniform. This man was also threatened himself with being sexually assaulted in Abu Ghraib, and then describes in horrific detail how the soldier raped the little kid. In another witness statement passed to the Sunday Herald, former prisoner Thar Salman Dawood said, quote, I saw two boys naked. They were cuffed together face to face. And a U.S. soldier was beating them, and a group of guards were watching and taking pictures. and there were 3 female soldiers laughing at the prisoners. 2 of them were very young. No one knows how many children are actually being held by coalition forces in Iraq, but a Sunday Herald investigation suggests there are up to 107. Their names are not known, nor where they're being kept, or how long they will be held, or what has happened to them during their detention. These reports are just amazing, and there's more. There's more. All right, 34 after. I'm just going to read this. In another witness statement passed to the Sunday Herald, former prisoner Tara Salman Dawood said, "I saw 2 boys naked. They were cuffed together face to face, and a U.S. soldier was beating them. And a group of guards were watching and taking pictures, and there were 3 female soldiers laughing at the prisoners. The prisoners, 2 of them, were very young. It's not certain how many children are being held by coalition forces in Iraq, but a Sunday Herald investigation suggests there are up to 107. Their names are not known, nor where they're being kept, or how long they will be held, or what has happened to them during their detention. Proof of the widespread arrest and detention of children by U.S. and U.K. forces is contained in an internal UNICEF report written in June. The report has surprisingly not been made public. A key section on child protection headed, quote, "Children in conflict with the law or with coalition forces," end quote, reads, quote, "In July and August 2003, several meetings were conducted with Coalition Provisional Authority and Ministry of Justice to address issues related to juvenile justice and the situation of children detained by the coalition forces. UNICEF is working through a variety of channels to try and learn more about conditions for children who are imprisoned or detained and to ensure that their rights are respected." Another section reads, quote, "Information on the number, age, gender, and conditions of incarceration is limited. In Basra and Karbala, children arrested for alleged activities targeting the occupying forces are reported to be routinely transferred to an internee facility in Qasr. The categorization of these children as internees is worrying since it implies indefinite holding without contact with family, expectation of trial, or due process. The report also states, quote, "A detention center for children was established in Baghdad, where, according to the International Committee of the Red Cross, a significant number of children were detained. UNICEF was informed that the coalition forces were planning to transfer all children to adult facilities in a specialized child detention center. In July 2003, UNICEF requested a visit to the center, but access denied. Poor security in the area of the detention center has prevented visits by independent observers like the International Red Cross since last December. The perceived unjust detention of Iraqi males, including youths, for suspected activities against the occupying forces has become one of the leading causes for the mounting frustration among young Iraqis and the potential for radicalization of this population group," the report said. Journalists in Germany have been investigating the detention and abuse of children in Iraq. One reporter, Thomas Reuter, of the TV program Report Mainz, interviewed a U.S. Army Sergeant, Samuel Province, who's banned from speaking about his 6 months stationed in Abu Ghraib, but still told Reuter how one 16-year-old boy was arrested. Quote, "He was terribly afraid," Province said. "He had the skinniest arms I've ever seen. He was trembling all over. His wrists were so thin we couldn't even put handcuffs on him. Right when I saw him for the first time and took him for interrogation, I felt sorry for him. The interrogation specialist poured water over him and put him into a car. Then they drove with him through the night, and at that time it was very, very cold. They smeared him with mud and showed him to his father, who was also in custody. They tried out other interrogation methods on him, but he wasn't to be brought to talk. The interrogation specialist told me, after the father had seen his son in this state, his heart broke. He wept and promised to tell them anything they wanted to know."